Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'd like to open this meeting, council meeting, Tuesday, May the 16th, 2023. You'd stand with me, the mayor will do the invocation and the pledge.
Thank you, Leonard. Please follow me. Lord, thank you for a wonderful day. Thank you for the weather that we're having. Thank you for the sunshine, but we could use a little bit of rain. We ask that you watch over all our citizens. We ask that you watch over our staff as they keep the city running smoothly. We ask that you watch over the board so they make sound and right decisions. As this is Peace Officers Week, we ask that you watch over all of our first responders, especially the police and sheriff's department in Highlands County and the city of Sebring and Lake Placid, that protect us on a daily basis and put their lives on the line at any time, any risk. We appreciate what they do. We also appreciate those that have gone before and honor them with your glory. All we do in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Kathy, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Shoup,
Here.
Bishop,
Here.
Avery,
Here.
Mendel, here, Stewart,
Here.
Carlisle.
Here. Okay, if there's any business from the audience, there's some papers on the desk up here. You fill them out, hand them to Clerk Haley. She'll get them to me, and we'll call you up at the proper time. Mayor's report.
All right, I've got several things passed and several things coming up, but we had a lot of stuff going on this last month, or the last few weeks actually. For those of you that attended the Pro Watercross event put on by the TDC, it was pretty cool again. A lot of people out there had a good time. A lot of people in the event. It's on CBS Sports, or it will be on CBS Sports also. So it's a nationally televised, so it's really good for our community, and it's a good PR program. So thanks to the TDC and Casey for what they've done. They did a good job. For those of you that are pickleballers, our pickleball courts are open, if you don't know that, from 7 o'clock in the morning till I think 10 o'clock. Is that what it is, Steve? So we don't have lights, so it'd be a little hard to play after 7, but you can still play if you want. Just don't make a lot of noise. National Day of Prayer was a couple weeks ago. The county did a good job. Jerome Kazabowski carried on the tradition that was started by Luke Brooker years ago, and did a great job, had a good attendance, and it's good for our community. Also, last week ago, Monday, they had the Peace Officers Memorial at the Sheriff's Department, another good event honoring individuals that have passed in the last year. I think they had 10 total peace officers that lost their lives in a year. And then they honored 4 that were from Highlands County and the city of Sebring that have lost their lives, and that's defending us. So they play an important role in our community, keeping us safe, and do it unselfishly. They do a wonderful job, and we're very proud of what we have, and thank them. Upcoming events we have: Sipping on the Circle this weekend, Craft Beer Festival put on by the Rotary and the Art League. Should be a good event. The fire department also at 9 a.m. on Saturday has their bike rodeo for the kids. So if you have kids that want to learn how to ride the bike or know how to ride a bike, need a helmet, need a bike fixed, bring the bike down with you. And Dan Andrews with Legacy Bicycles is down there helping out the fire department. Tonight is Sebring High School's baseball regional final game in Lake Wales. So if you want to run out of here quick, it starts at 7. And get up there. Just don't speed, because there are peace officers on the road, and they will let you know what's going on. On the 19th, the TDC also is bringing the Lacrosse Hall of Fame and American Festival to the ball fields here, the county ball fields. Big event. It's their All-American Festival, basically. So they've got a Friday and a Saturday event going on. On Memorial Day weekend, we have the Sea Service Memorial Day celebration, 2 p.m. On Monday. So go to the Sea Service. They have good attendance there. We've been there several times on our and they do.
Talk about rain.
I won't talk about rain again. So. But we do need it anyway.
Yes, we do.
And then Lakeview Memorial Gardens, they also have an annual event, and theirs is, I believe, also Monday on the 29th at 9 in the morning. So if you want to make a day of events, they've got them for you. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
All right. Thank you,
Oh,
Mayor.
I do have one other thing that I want to bring up. that I'll bring up under my business. And we've kicked this waterfront around for a long time, and David Lydell won't find us $20 million, but I'd like to ask the council's permission, or get their permission, to hold a workshop on this so we can discuss at least the 2 buildings on top of the hill. We can't do a lot for the waterfront yet. We don't have any kind of drainage plan, but I don't know if you guys would be open to having a workshop at least to come to a conclusion to what we're going to do with the buildings. And then who knows what happens after that.
What buildings are you talking about?
Pretty much you'd be talking about all 5 buildings there.
Oh.
So outside of the library would be the MODA, the Civic Center, the VAC, and then the 2 buildings on the Weigel and the Calavelli House. So just so we can get some closure on something, which way we're going to move. I think this thing is we just keep kicking it down the road. In my opinion, the whole waterfront is going to take a heck of a lot longer than 5 to 10 years to get done. We just have to plan this out, but I think there's 2 organizations, the Art League we've had correspondence with, and the Historical Society, that would like to utilize the 2 buildings at least, but need long-term leases on it, and if they want to improve it, and I think we really need to address it, and I think there's a time frame that will come into play that is much longer than what we think is going to happen. It won't happen tomorrow, so I think it's up to us to give these organizations some kind of path, a good, hard, solid path. Either we extend the leases for a period of time where they can get grants, or like you say, you rip the Band-Aid off and we bulldoze them. But I think we need to sit down and talk about that in an open forum where we all can talk, where the community can talk, and get the organizations that are impacted. They've both sent us a couple letters over the last several months with their desires, and I think we need to move that on. So with your permission, I think I'd like to ask Penny to go ahead and schedule a workshop specifically for that, not for the whole redevelopment. I'm just talking about what do we do with primarily the 2 historical houses up on the hill, but discuss the rest of it. I'm not saying we go into the future of, do we bulldoze the Jack Stroop Center, do we bulldoze MODA, do we bulldoze whatever, but I think we just need some kind of direction to get moving on that waterfront plan instead of just keep bouncing around. So if you all agree, and give Penny a nod, please.
Yep.
Okay, we'll do that
Okay.
in the next few weeks, so
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
thank you.
That's a good idea. Councilman's concerns and comments? Council Lady Liddell?
Thank you. I'm glad to be here tonight. I think a workshop is a good idea to try to get some consensus on what to do with the buildings and the waterfront. I did go to the police memorial. Very tough, but very, very moving, and I'm just so grateful and proud of our peace officers who serve this community and lay down their lives for us. I really was so touched by that ceremony. And then also we did have the National Day of Prayer, which was extremely moving to have Christians gather on our government property to pray and ask God for His continued blessing on our land. And it was just a wonderful, well-attended event. And we had Pastor Eugene Bankston gave the keynote speech. He called for our government leaders. He said, "You are put in place by God, and we need to lead exemplary, righteous lives and guide our community in that way. And we have a real responsibility to do that." And I was very, very moved by that. I think now we have a time when we are going to clearly have to choose between righteousness that our country and our city were built on and unrighteousness. I think that there is no longer any time to stand on the fence with this. And our country was based on Judeo-Christian values. And because of that, we have a level in our country of prosperity and well-being and happiness. And as we move away from righteousness, we see what's happening in our country. We're having chaos and confusion. So I exhort all of us here in this room to move toward righteousness. Jesus Christ is real and he is relevant and he loves everyone in this room. But he does have a standard for righteousness. So we want to get a biblical perspective on that and move accordingly. So I was so very grateful to have those words from Pastor Bingston. So thank you, that's all.
Quick CRA update. So CRA has a new police officer, so she's going to be, I think, a good fit to the downtown area. And then the CRA selected the Blackmans for the Wachovia building, so that's going to be coming to our attention in the coming weeks, probably sometime in June. So we're very excited about that. CRA is excited, so thank you to the CRA for working on that. It's a good opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Bishop.
Kind of to parlay off of what Harrison just said. 2 weeks ago, I went with Scott and David and Christy from the CRA and spent the day with the Blackmans in St. Pete and really enjoyed it. We saw a lot of good things. They wanted to show us things that they have that they think could be done on scale in Highlands County. We saw their shuffleboard facility, the Vinoy Hotel, which is very similar to Harder Hall, their city pier, which is a massive project, $100 million. So
David's gonna have to step
yeah.
up to the plate.
And then they have a theater called the State Theater that is very similar to our Circle Theater, and they've really been able. An investor has been able to capitalize on it pretty good and bring in some good shows. So it's very interesting.
Thank you.
So you had a very favorable feel about the Blackman Group.
Oh yes.
That's wonderful to hear.
Mr.
No
Stewart.
report.
No report. I have no report. Okay, next is the consent agenda. Any comments or concerns about the consent agenda? Council?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second it. Oops, sorry.
We got a motion in 2 seconds. Anyone in the audience want to make a comment? Not? Kathy?
Bishop,
Yes.
Hayrie.
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Okay, there's no old business, new business. Item 10A, Pride Fest and Chris Davids. Ladies.
Good evening, gentlemen and lady. So we're coming, my name is Christopher Davies. I'm the founder and president of the Highlands County LGBT Caucus. We are coming before council to request that on June 11th, you allow us to close down North Commerce Avenue between Pomegranate and Circle Drive, as well as waiving any city fees that are involved with that. So our event is an event for the LGBT community to feel safe, respected, and welcome in our community. We have done this 4 years. This is the first year where we've actually outgrown our space and we're expanding into the street just to provide that extra area. The plan for Sunday is we'll have a Pride service at Emmanuel UCC at 10 a.m. From there, everyone will come to a Pride brunch located at Faded Bistro and Beer Garden from 12 to 2. Those two events, everyone of all ages is welcome to attend. The Pride Fest celebration itself starts at 4 p.m. at Monserc and the area along North Commerce Avenue. Any performers or anyone that is in cabaret attire will be inside Monserc itself. It is a separate ticketed event and no one under the age of 21 will be able to attend the Pride Fest celebration. So the event that I'm asking you to close the street down for is between 4 and 10 p.m. I'm asking the street to be closed at 3 to 11, and that area, no one under the age of 21 will be able to be inside that zone to comply with Senate Bill 1438, which has really muddled the waters with Pride festivities on what constitutes a violation. Let's see. So we'll have, we're also gonna have vendors in the street, a live DJ. This is gonna bring people not only from Sebring, but we're gonna have people from Lake Placid here, Avon Park. Last year we had people coming from Okeechobee. Last year's numbers, we had 250 people go around the circle. This year we're projected to have even more based on our growth year to year. First year there was 26 people. But I'm asking council to approve the road closure request, the waiver of fees. We already spoke with Public Works about getting extra trash cans. And there was one other thing, and suspension of the alcohol variants within the event area.
I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed on the flyer you had a bearded lady contest, and is that not just really another name for a drag queen show?
So in circus type performances, like carnival, a bearded lady contest is like it's a costume contest. Who's the best bearded lady? That's what it is. Anyone is able to participate in that. Yeah, that's 21 and up. Yeah.
And how would you propose to be able to keep anyone from under 21 out of the event?
It's going to be a ticketed event, and we'll have
Outside part will be a ticketed
we'll have
event?
wristbands, and that area will be cordoned off.
Yeah.
We will also
Is the
have
Is the 21 and up just for Moncirc or for the outdoor area that's part of the road closure?
Senate Bill 1438 requires us to so we don't run afoul of that law until it's challenged in the court system. No one under 21,
In the building or on the closed portion?
as
of
well
the
as
street?
the outside. Yes, sir.
Okay.
It does seem to me that this is going to result in inappropriate displays of sexuality in front of our children. So I'm very concerned about that.
Well, what's inappropriate about people being themselves, Ms. Mendel?
Well, I think that everybody in this room understands this issue, sir.
You're specifically accusing that the LGBT community would be inappropriate in front of children?
Any kind of sexual inappropriate display would not be good for our community and for our children, I do believe. And as a city councilwoman, I do want to say, I'm a councilwoman of all the different people, of all the different persuasions, but there's certain things that are good for a community and certain things that are not good for a community. So I'm just bringing up these concerns.
Well, Ms. Mendel, in other cities around Florida, the LGBT community brings in millions of dollars, and I'm trying to bring that here to Sebring, and you are the only one standing in my way.
Well,
Christopher.
money is never an excuse for unrighteousness.
Can I interrupt here and ask a question?
Yes, sir.
The part where you said cabaret performance, that is only going to be inside Moncirc.
Right.
It's not
They're
gonna be
only
on
going to
the
be
street.
inside the bar.
It's
Yes,
going to
sir.
be ticketed, 21 and over, no children.
Correct.
Okay.
And he also said that no one in the closed off area.
But the point is, there's nothing even a hint of a sexual performance that will be on the street.
Right. None of the performances are happening outside of Moncirc, inside the bar.
Right.
That is going to happen behind closed doors where the public view can't see it.
Except for the bearded lady thing.
I don't know that a beard makes it a
A costume
sexual performance.
contest is not sexual, Miss Mendel.
And it will be indoors.
If you have a comment, we need you to come up to the podium and talk to us. Another concern I have is you have a DJ and you want to be out till 10. How loud is this DJ going to be? Because you have the
Yes, sir.
community around that they don't want to hear.
We spoke with Chief Hoagland. The city's ordinance starts at 10 p.m., which is why the event ends at 10 p.m. And then we have an hour of the street being closed to break things down because we are going to have vendors.
I understand that. Okay, thank you. I think this young lady wants to speak.
Okay.
Oh, who? Come on up. We got a line.
Chris. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Shoup. I am a Sebring resident, and I'm an executive consultant to the Highlands County LGBT+ Caucus. Pride Fest continues to demonstrate success and value as a growing annual community event, which creates revenue opportunities for our local businesses. The first year we hosted Pride Fest, as Chris said, we had 26 attendees. Pride Fest 2022 experienced a substantial increase with 250 attendees who joined in the march around the circle, and we're expecting increased attendance this year. The primary reason we asked for closure of North Commerce Avenue this year is to ensure we can safely accommodate additional attendees, as we had to turn folks away last year due to capacity limitations. As community-minded individuals who care about the success of downtown Sebring and Highlands County, one goal of Pride Fest is to draw more attention to our ever-growing downtown businesses and expand and promote their brand awareness. We want to be a partner in the success of local businesses. This year, the street closure will provide opportunities for local vendors to sell products and wares, opportunities these small independent entrepreneurs may not have otherwise. We want to see the area continue to flourish. Downtown Sebring is on the radar of many local travel sites and travel blogs, which increases our social media presence. That's called free advertising, and I don't know anyone who's going to turn down free promotional opportunities. By creating events that draw tourists and visitors to the area, it builds the foundation for their return. They'll return for the art festival. They'll return for the soda festival, the races, the farmers market, our local 5Ks and sporting events. They'll explore our parks, our recreational activities, and experience the phenomenal performances and talent at Highlands Lakeside Theater. Maybe some will be so impressed they'll actually relocate to Sebring permanently. We have local businesses and individuals who've committed to sponsoring this year's Pride Fest. They want to be associated with this event because they see the potential of Pride Fest and wish to reap the reputational benefits and economic impact. And speaking of economic impact, let's look at some of the numbers of other Pride Fests around Florida. Last year, during the 20th anniversary celebration, St. Pete Pride Fest drew approximately 300,000 attendees, resulting in economic impact of $67 million. Orlando Pride drew 200,000 attendees, resulting in $25 million in economic impact. Wilton Manors, a city with a similar population of Sebring of 11,000 residents, saw their Pride event draw 50,000 attendees and create a direct economic impact of $20 million for their county. Imagine what $20 million can do for Highlands County. And speaking of St. Pete, as you said earlier, Christy Vasquez, the CRA, Scott, Roland, along with Robert Blackman, recently met with the St. Pete Downtown Partnership to explore similarities for development opportunities between our two cities. Christy Vasquez was quoted in an article for the St. Pete Catalyst saying that our whole goal in coming over here, how we could model some of the same things with some of the same assets we have in our downtown. Pride is an asset for St. Pete, and Pride is an asset for Sebring. Obviously, we are several years away from that volume of attendance, but just think of how even a fraction of that economic impact can benefit our community. People are going to spend their money somewhere. Why not spend it here? The Blackmans are pouring money and resources into the restoration of Harder Hall, and I'm sure they'd love the opportunity to book out those rooms. Soon, they'll be restoring the Wachovia building with the intent of a rooftop bar. If that plan comes to fruition, we'll have another community partner and attraction to draw greater attendance for next year's Pride Fest and other downtown activities. The downtown renaissance is in full swing, and we must keep the momentum moving forward.
You have about 30
Those,
seconds.
I'm almost done. Those who coordinate this event, we don't do this to be showered with accolades. It takes a tremendous amount of planning and coordination to assure a safe and successful event. We are not compensated for our time. Our efforts are strictly voluntary, and we do this because we care about the LGBT community and promoting healthy visibility. We care about the non-LGBT community and promoting healthy visibility. We care about this city and this county, and we want Sebring and Highlands County to be viewed as an inclusive, progressive, successful community where folks from all walks of life are welcome. We humbly thank the council in supporting our efforts and vision to make Pride Fest another fantastic reason to visit Sebring.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. Tom Mendel, City of Sebring resident. My comments are relative to the planned Pride Walk Around Circle Park and the other Pride activities on Sebring city streets. I want to make sure you understand what other cities in Florida are doing relative to Pride parades. This is an article from April 20th, 23, Associated Press news article, Port St. Lucie, Florida. Officials in a Florida city have canceled a gay pride parade and restricted other pride events to people 21 years and older in anticipation of Republican Governor Ron DeSantis signing a bill meant to keep people out of drag shows. Another article, April 25th, 23. This is the Metro Weekly article. Officials in a Florida city canceled the region's annual Pride Parade. They restricted access to Pride-related events to people over the age of 21 due to fears that the organizers might be penalized under an anti-drag bill that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to sign into law. The Pride Alliance of the Treasure Coast canceled the parade, which had been scheduled for Saturday, April 22nd, and scaled back admission to the annual Pride Fest in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in response to the Protection of Children bill, reports Treasure Coast newspapers. Now, this last article is really interesting. This is, and everything I'm quoting here is verbatim. This is a verbatim quote, excerpts from the LGBTQ Nation article published yesterday, May 15th, verbatim. Wilton Manors, which is in Broward County. A recent vote by the City Commission declared that permits for this year's June 17th Pride Parade will direct the organization behind the event, Stonewall Pride, to anticipate the need to comply with a state bill seeking to ban public drag performances. It has already passed the legislature, and DeSantis is expected to sign it. Now, Senate Bill 1438, this is still verbatim out of this article, prohibits government entities from issuing permits. Oh no, he talked much longer than me. I'm not going there. I got a little bit more to speak.
I can get you out for that.
Yes, sir. But I need to be able to finish what I'm saying here, please, sir. Issued permits to organizations that may hold adult live performances in the presence of minors. Officials that do not enforce state law are at risk of being removed by the governor. As such, failing to enforce the law could result in the commission being fully replaced with DeSantis appointees. I strongly recommend the City Council does not approve Pride Walk Around the City Park and other Pride activities on city streets. How is the city going to ensure that minors under the age of 21 will not attend these events? As noted above, there can be serious consequences to city officials approving the Pride Walk Around City Park and other Pride activities
Your time's
that
up.
minors might attend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jade Martinez. I am a resident of Sebring. I've been here for about a year and I'm speaking in regards to Pride. Pride is just an event that people are celebrating their pride and their uniqueness. It has nothing to do about their sexuality being flaunted in the streets. You could say that about any straight person in this room running up and down the street, in college, streaking. That's sexuality. I don't understand why people who have pride in their own individuality cannot walk in a safe space in the city just like you can. And to sit here, and I'm not bashing religion in any way, but when you sit here and recite scripture in an open forum, you're projecting your beliefs and enforcing them on every single person in this room that does not believe in them. And that is not okay. So how is it okay to sit here and say that anybody else cannot walk down the street safely? That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I would like to respond quickly. we are a Judeo-Christian country, and I point to this, in God we trust.
It was added in the 50s.
No, it was from the beginning of our country.
If you want to talk, you come up here. Yes, sir.
I'm John Watson. I live in the county. Lived here all my life. I don't live in the city, but I participate in the city. We're writing this letter out of deep concern for our hometown, Sebring, Florida. Many of us who have been blessed to call Sebring home for many years, or for myself my whole life, are very distressed to see the direction our town is taking. Sebring has always been a wholesome place where growing up and then raising children was ideal. A safe place where conservative values were top priority. That's changing dramatically before our eyes and at warp speed. Some of us believe that voting yes on bringing a sexual orientation event to our city and county will only increase sexual crimes and violence against our children. We implore you to deeply consider what you are doing and what you are supporting. We are fully confident the majority of Sebring residents feel as we do. We do not want Sebring to become a place where events like a sexual orientation celebration are esteemed, drawing people into our small community that will not share our conservative values. Will sexual orientation events in Sebring open the door to even more sexually explicit celebrations and events? Sexual orientation is a freedom and a right of every human being, but it is one that should be done privately, not celebrated by an entire community, especially innocent, vulnerable children. The purpose of this letter is not to condemn any homosexual or any LGBTQ individuals. We are taught to love everyone. We may not agree with everyone or their lifestyle, but we are writing this letter to stand strongly for Sebring's historical conservative values. A sexual orientation celebration may sound innocent enough, but why involve children? Why make this a family-friendly event with face painting? Because the celebration of sexual orientation is probably not the end game. We believe it's about reaching the children and causing confusion at an early, immature, and vulnerable age. As we said before, the trajectory of our country is shifting into an era we have not experienced before, with children being intentionally influenced to be confused about the gender God created them to be. I feel comfortable referring to God in my letter because behind you are the words "In God we trust." This type of sexual orientation celebration is taking us down a slippery slope towards what? Could it be a celebrated and normalized? Gateway to more extreme sexual deviant behaviors that will then be expected to be celebrated and normalized. We have included with this letter 2 articles that discuss pedophilia possibly being normalized in the United Nations and in the state of Minnesota. We can't say this loud enough. Please think about the future of our children, our grandchildren, your children, and your grandchildren. We are relying on you to take your job with the utmost seriousness. Please be clearly looking ahead into the future and asking for wisdom, considering the ramifications of your decisions about the different events you will approve or disapprove for Sebring. Ramifications and consequences that will affect us all and your families as well. The City Council may be remembered as a City Council who fought for our conservative values and kept our small community a place where children are safe to be raised firmly and the gender God designed them to be, or you may be the council Sebring will always remember as being the ones who allowed Sebring to go down a dark and destructive path.
Okay, your time's up, please.
Thank you.
You're coming up here filling these papers out to talk about this. You don't
Am I
have to
supposed
fill
to
this
have filled
paper
them?
out. We're open to this discussion right now.
It's an agenda item.
It's an
You don't
agenda
have to
item,
fill
you
out
can
a-
come up.
So you just get in line?
Yep, please.
I just, he was talking about a lot of slippery slopes just now, and I want everybody to know that that's a fallacy, it's a logical fallacy, and people use that to try to tell you that bad things are gonna happen, very bad things. It's called a slippery slope fallacy, and people like that use it constantly. And like the fact that nobody seems to be picking up on
excuse
that.
me.
I'm sorry.
You didn't
Go ahead.
tell us your name.
Jacob. I'm Jacob. I'm Chris's husband, and I'm just sitting back there like, or he's literally just talking fallacies, like logical fallacies. That's not how logic works. That's all. I just wanted to shed some light on, maybe get some juices flowing. That's all I have to say.
I think they're flowing.
Priests molest more children than gays do.
My name is...
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll please hold your comments in the audience.
Hey, if you want to talk, you come up here and tell us who you are. quit blurting things out, please.
My name's Deborah McGinn-Titler. I'm 100% straight with 2 grown children and 3 grandchildren. And I have no problem with people of other sexual orientations celebrating their lives, because that's what Pride is. It's a celebration of their lives. And as far as In God We Trust, it was added in the 1950s during the McCarthy era. Read your damn history so that you know what's going on. Also, Under God was added to our Pledge of Allegiance at the same time. Okay? This country has a First Amendment that demands a separation of church and state. And the reason is because we're allowed to follow whatever religion or non-religion we want to follow. I happen to be a Christian. I'm an Episcopalian. I was raised Episcopalian. I taught Sunday school, but I never put down any person for who they were or who they loved. Jesus said, love your neighbor. These folks are our neighbors. So get it straight. Stop pouring your religion into our government, because just because you believe it doesn't mean all the rest of us have to. That's all I got to say.
Hey, before you get up and say something, I just want to say something too. I mean, I think we could all be here for a long time. We all have different views and opinions on things, but at the end of the day, they're asking if we can do an event, and I don't want to drag this out a lot longer and hear a lot of opinions and really divide everybody in this room. I just don't think that is going to get us a solution. I don't think that's going to help. I think it's really going to hurt this city. This is not good for Sebring, and we don't need to talk about this and have different opinions for an hour, 2 hours. Can we put this to a vote and see what the council thinks on this, so we don't continue
Well,
to
I
divide
say
this?
let the people speak.
And I don't want to infringe on anybody's right to speak. I'm just saying this could get really divisive very quickly. And personally, seeing this over what happened last year, I don't want to have a repeat of that. That's not going to be good. But again, feel free to speak. I don't want to infringe on any of those rights.
Well,
to do so.
we will do this. If you've been up here, please don't come back. If you spoke, please sit down. You haven't, so go for it.
Thank you very much. My name is Dan Page. I have a law office here in Sebring, and I live in the county of Highlands. And I don't have to make a proclamation, but I will say that I'm 100% straight as well. I have 4 kids, a number of grandkids, but I'm here standing with my friends, my neighbors, saying that, listen, because of an injury I had, they had the raceway. They had that a couple of months ago. And I intended to attend, but I didn't. And I didn't attend because it was an option. It was a choice. I won't be, and I'll tell my friends and neighbors, I won't be attending their event for my own reasons. But I stand for their right to have the event. I stand for the right for them to have their presentation of pride. My grands, my children, I can assure you, I know where they are at all times. I can assure you they won't attend. And I stand for them because I stand, and I assume there was a time that the same arguments were made against people like myself when great bodies came together and said, hey, here's what's going to happen if they establish or if you allow them rights. So mine is, I just want my friends to know I'm here in support, and I support them because it's a matter of right. At the end of the day, at the end of the night, when we leave here, we go home, and we have to embrace the decisions that we make. And you have to know why you made them. The emotion because, Jesus was interjected, or the emotion because someone said and read an article. Go with your gut and your heart. Make a decision. Whatever decisions you make, I will embrace. But make the decision and make it on what's right and what's wrong, not what our opinions are or our shortcomings or who we think don't meet our tests, are not represented on the board. There's a lot of people not represented on this board, and I think that they have an opportunity and a right, and they're going to bring in the resources. So I ask that you consider it, and whatever vote you decide, I'll embrace it.
Thank you.
Tiffany Cadzo, owner of Monserc Wine Bar. First, I really want to thank you guys for getting this on the agenda. This will be the 4th year that we've hosted this event, and previously it has been hosted basically by Monserc Wine Bar only, and it's grown beyond Monserc Wine Bar. It's bigger than my little wine bar. It's a community event, so I really appreciate just having it on the agenda and even being able to have this discussion. And that being said, I really want everyone to kind of understand what Pride Fest means. Pride Fest does not mean being flamboyantly sexual in nature around children. That's just not what it means. That's not what it is. That's not what it stands for. June has kind of become known as Pride Month because it's an acknowledgement of the Stonewall Uprising of June 28th to July 3rd of 1969, when police would go into Greenwich Village and raid bars and raid clubs where suspected homosexuals were and drag them off to jail like they were criminals doing something horrible. It was a real thing. It was a list. There was a list of suspected homosexuals and their family members and their friends, and our government was attacking them. They were not allowed to exist. They were not allowed to even be. And what Pride Fest means and what Pride Month means is that uprising. It's that uprising where the people said, no, we have rights and we want rights. And I feel like the fact that we're all standing here right now having this conversation means that we need this. We need this. We need Pride Fest. We need the community to be able to stand up and say, we exist, we deserve rights, and we deserve to be here. Nobody is hurting your children. I don't want to hurt your children. I own the bar. I don't have children. I don't hang out with children. It's 21 and up. The whole event is 21 and up. So the idea of somebody trying to hurt your children is absolutely ludicrous.
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Gary Brown. I had no intention of speaking tonight, but I got to say something. For the record, I do teach history, and I teach religion. And I can tell you, in God we trust, being put in the 50s is one thing, but if you study the Founding Fathers, I think you will have no problem with that statement. Also, I'll say that the first thing we need to dispel is the fact that Christians are haters, because they're not. They love you. If you had a child reaching for a stove and it was burning hot, would the one that loved the child be the one that lets them touch the stove, or the one that slaps their hand and say, don't touch the stove? Just think about that. I didn't come up here to talk about anything religious anyway. I came up here to simply say every one of us one day, whether I believe it or whether you believe it, anybody believes it, will stand before a holy God and give account for themselves. So if you feel you're right, that's fine. If you feel you're right, that's fine. But I just caution everybody to love each other, and for the members of the city commission, you will stand before God and give account of your decisions. Right or wrong, it's not me. But I just wanted to be the one that stand up and say, please get past the point that Christians are condemning and haters. They're not. Christianity is about the love of God. And if I know somebody's facing a fiery hell and I don't tell them, then shame on me. I'm really an evil person. So I'm up here to tell everybody in this room, God loves you, and the way to be saved is to accept Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior. If you fail to do that, then I'm not going to judge you. But one day, the Bible says every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. And I'll end with this. Commission, please, if I was in your seat, I thank God I'm not in your seat. I wouldn't want to do your job for anything in the world. But if I was in your seat, I'd stand up right now and resign and walk out that door before I would approve this. I just feel that strongly about it. If I'm wrong, that's okay. But God bless each and every one. I don't want your decision. God bless you. And God bless y'all too.
Anyone else? Council?
Well, if I can, I'd like some clarity from the event organizer.
Okay.
The Senate Bill 1438 that was referenced was passed by the legislature today, provided to the governor this morning. Who knows whether or not he'll sign it, but he could have signed it by now. So I think it would be prudent to make sure council is acting within that. I believe Councilman Stewart clarified this. I want to be real clear for the record. Because it prohibits a governmental, this new Senate bill that may well be law by now, a governmental entity may not issue a permit or otherwise authorize a person to conduct a performance in violation of statute section 827.11. What that section reads, and you may well be familiar with it, is allowing, exposing children to an adult live performance. That's got a long definition in the statute, and I can certainly read it, but is anything that's going to be outside going to qualify for the definition of adult live performance?
No, sir.
But with that, I don't believe the council can decide not to allow it based on a judgment of personal preference of what should be done. Council closes streets all the time and allows for the use of streets that's a Sunday afternoon on a not particularly well-traveled road, so council would have to have a legally defensible reason for denying it. So this, as long as we're clear that the newly prohibited adult live performance is not happening outside, that's the only part you're approving. You're not approving anything that's done in a business nearby, only the outside. So with that, Mr. President, I'll give it back to you.
Thank you. Council?
Yeah, I've got one thing I'd like to say before we vote. I knew this was going to be a contentious issue. I wanted to write down my thoughts. This will be quick. There's three things that I was thinking of when we were talking about this event coming up or when I saw it on the agenda. The beauty of being an American is that we're allowed to be different from each other, to think differently, to speak differently, to have different political and religious beliefs. I love this country, and one of the things that I love about it is that we celebrate diversity. You know, my neighbor is not going to be just like me, and that's fine. That's great. That's kind of part of the reason this country was founded. The Declaration of Independence includes a phrase that I think is really important, and it's this: we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, and you could say people, are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the last thing, I don't think it's right, moral, or wise to try and restrict an event that is doing things correctly and legally simply because not everyone agrees with it. If it's not infringing on another group's rights, then it should be allowed. I take this same view with any other event in the city. A prime example of that is we have had Easter services on the Circle in the past. I wouldn't try and shut down a Christian event just because some people are offended by Christianity, and I wouldn't try and block this event just because some people are offended by it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, you need a motion, or it's going to go away.
I'll put forth a motion that we approve the event as presented, conditioned upon providing the appropriate insurance certificate showing at least $1 million of liability insurance and naming the city as additional insured at least 10 days prior to the event.
Second.
Waiving fees.
Waiving fees. Okay, I just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Okay, we got a motion, and we have a second. I agree with Mr. Stewart on his comments. We can't pass something or fail something because of our religious beliefs. I'm a straight man, always been a straight man. I don't understand the other way. I don't understand it, but we have to follow the law. We have to follow the ordinances of our city, and like he said, if we shut this down, then we have to shut down a lot of other things. Because you're gonna have you can have the same people come in and protest the service on Easter. You know, you can have the same thing. And what are we gonna do? Shut down a time of worship? You know, so we have to take everything in hand and make the decision. So I would say hold the board.
Bishop.
Yes.
Havery.
Yes.
Mendel.
God's law is first, and my answer is no.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Okey dokey.
Thank you.
Thank everybody for their comments. Moving on to 10B, public hearing and ordinance 1512. Mr. Swain and Ms. Daniel. So who goes first?
You wanna start?
I guess, I don't know if you want to read your little part before, or just want me to get on into it.
I think if it's okay with council, we'll handle both 10B, opening of those public hearings of 10B and 10C.
Right.
As, once you have done that, I will then read the title of both ordinance 1512 and 1513.
Okay, so give it to us.
You're gonna open up the public hearing?
Yep. Public hearing's open.
All right,
Ordin-
so for record, are you reading?
I'll go ahead.
My apologies.
Ordinance number 1512, proposed ordinance 1512 is an ordinance of the City of Sebring, Florida, amending the City of Sebring Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, specifically amending the future land use designation for two properties totaling 1.80 acres and located at 1300 and 1310 US Highway 27, Sebring, bearing parcel numbers that list their parcel ID numbers, lying in section 26, Township 34 South, Range 28 East, Highlands County, Florida, from county commercial to city commercial, transmitting said amendment to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity for notification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And if I can, I'll also read ordinance number 1513 that deals with the proposed zoning change. That ordinance is entitled An Ordinance of the City of Sebring, Florida, changing the zoning classification, specifically amending the zoning classification for two properties totaling 1.80 acres and located at 1300 and 1310 US Highway 27 Sebring, bearing parcel ID numbers that's shown for each, and lying in section 26, Township South, Range 28 East, Highlands County, Florida, from City County B3CU to City Commercial C1, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date. Take it away, Ms. Daniel.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Carlin Daniel. I'm Central Florida Regional Planning Council, and I promise I will not keep you here very long. So let's get on into it. This property is located off US 27, south of the shopping plaza in Lowe's, if you guys are familiar with it. It's a city-initiated future land use change from county commercial to city commercial, and a rezoning from county B3CU to city C1. There's a map. For the existing future land use, which is county commercial. And we're proposing the future land use to city commercial. The existing zoning is county B3CU with a proposed zoning of city C1. And there is a land use analysis to give you guys an idea of the properties that are surrounding. So there's a mixture of business, commercial, residential, mobile home subdivisions, and campground uses. The proposed changes are consistent with the surrounding uses. Regarding public facilities and service analysis, so the subject properties have been previously developed as commercial buildings and will continue to be used as commercial buildings. With the properties already being developed, the water and sewer will cause no additional impacts along with the solid waste. Let's see. The properties also have existing roadway networks with direct access to US 27. Any future developments or improvements will be handled through the city's development review process. And then with the properties continuing to be commercial, they'll have no impacts on public schools or recreational facilities. We also held a meeting last Tuesday with the Planning and Zoning Board. And they all voted unanimously to move forward with the recommendations of approval. And I'm open to any questions or comments.
Well, we pretty much have to do this.
Yeah.
Because we annexed it in, so it's just
Yes.
a given. Anybody have a comment? Wait, hey, you need to come up. Tell us who you are.
I'm Sandra Johnson, and I just want to know, do they have an idea what they're going to put there?
I would direct you.
That's the builder right there.
It is the Chipotle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you gotta ask him if he's doing Chick-fil-A, right?
Okay, well, you had, that question was answered. Anyone else
What can
want
he
to
say?
talk about this?
No. Can we do both in one motion, Bob? Or are
We
going
don't,
to
right
separate?
now, we're in public. I have to close.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought you closed it.
Anybody
Okay.
else want to speak? Mr. Hanley? Tell us who you are, we don't know yet.
My name's Ron Hanley. I'm one of the owners of this piece of property we're talking about. And this thing has sort of emerged since we started our first building. It was in the county, just for everybody's information. And in the meantime, it got annexed into the city. And when we got ready to do the Chipotle, lo and behold, we had to have city zoning. So it made me think that it really wasn't our responsibility to get the zoning changed, because the city's the one that annexed us in. I'm not throwing darts, I'm just making a statement. And I think it behooves the city to assign someone to go to all these properties you annexed and maybe go ahead and make this change ahead of time, so that you don't run into a timing issue with some other possible commercial piece coming in the city zoning. Just it would make the whole process much smoother, I think. But I do appreciate you all helping me get through this change.
This hadn't been approved yet, Ron, so.
I didn't say it had. I just said thank you for what you've done.
Okay. Anyone else?
You may.
This hearing's closed. Now we go to where we can make.
I move to approve ordinance 1512 on first reading as presented and schedule second and final reading on June 6, 2023.
What about 1513?
You can do that in a separate.
Will you do it separately?
Okay.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Kathy?
Bishop.
Yes.
Havey.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Okay. Now, 1513. Need a motion?
Oh, I move to approve ordinance 1513 on first reading as presented and schedule second and final reading for June 6, 2023.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Kathy?
Bishop.
Yes.
Havey.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to business from the audience. I have one, Mr. Dean.
Okay, I'm James Dean of Sebring. I'm not talking about sexuality. At the last two city council meetings, I asked questions that were ignored. Last meeting, I quoted a 1986 advisory legal opinion letter from Florida Attorney General that may have been missed. That letter stated that the Community Redevelopment Act of 1969, Part 3, 163, was enacted to enable municipalities to eliminate slum and blight. The state reserved certain powers to the city, not CRA, including the power to determine an area to be a slum or blighted area, and to hold public hearings required thereto. Also reserved to the city were the power to authorize the issuance of revenue bonds. City Council never declared the Waterfront or Lakeview Drive to be a slum or blighted area, and never held the required public hearings to declare the waterfront slum or blighted. No CRA funds should be spent on the waterfront. CRA spent $149,000 of taxable money to hire a consultant of luxury development, the same one who designed Riverwalk in Fort Lauderdale, to create a clone of Fort Lauderdale. Why did they not hire an historical consultant, as did Amtrak, to restore the Sebring train station? Why did they not hire a consultant most familiar with Sebring, the man who wrote the book Sebring City on the Circle, whom CRA commissioned when he wrote the book? Based on a non-ADA compliant plan for an area never declared slum or blighted, City Council approved a $6 million loan that included destruction of the Civic Center. The 1986 letter from Florida Attorney General's office reserved the City Council, not CRA, the power to authorize the issuance of revenue bond, but only after a reference of voters. City Council never authorized a bond issue, which CRA cannot do. The $6 million loan is a means to bypass a public referendum which would never approve destruction of the Allen Altavelter Civic Center. A key point of the non-ADA compliant waterfront plan, which was the key to the $6 million loan, was bulldozing the Civic Center. I have asked for 2 years and never been answered. What is the reason to destroy the Civic Center to build a sand volleyball court? I question the financial wisdom of this destruction, and City Council passed an anti-whistleblower rule. The time has come. Tonight's the night. The citizens and I want the answer. What is the reason for bulldozing the Civic Center?
Thank you.
Do I get an answer?
We're going to have a
You came a little
public
late,
meeting.
James.
I'm sorry?
You came a little late. We're going to schedule a workshop to talk about those buildings, actually, so.
And that'll be public.
And it's not been approved to be bulldozed yet anyway.
Thank you. Okay. City Attorney.
Yes, sir, I have a proposed ordinance that would amend section 25-37 to allow the fences that Charlie Lawrence asked council about at the last meeting. And that ordinance is entitled an ordinance amending section 25-37C of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sebring to allow for the construction of fences on certain frontage on Lake Jackson, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date. You'll see the ordinance simply adds the word fences and a comma. It does not address the secondary issue of the height of hedges or bushes that was raised during the meeting. We'll bring that subject back to you, but the preference of council was to go ahead and handle the addition of fences, so that could be clarified going forward for those landowners. So it's on your agenda as a proposed ordinance on first reading.
Thank you. Any comment?
So you'll bring another revision with the height
Yes, sir.
issue? Okay. I move to approve proposed ordinance as presented on first reading and schedule second and final reading for June 6, 2023.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, Kathy. No comments. Please hold the board.
Bishop,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. City Administrator?
The only thing that I had was I would like to remind council of the sign workshop that's scheduled for Monday, May 22nd at 5:30 p.m. Here in council chambers. There's also a Zoom meeting that has been set up. And I believe Scott sent the link out by email today.
He did this afternoon.
Okay. Well, Ms. Halen?
That's for the last.
I guess so.
Council needs to approve the paying of the bills, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. No, everybody okay with us paying our bills? Yes. They can pay mine too. Hold the board.
Bishop,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes.